Hi, this is Eric Bischoff, and you're listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
Listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome to another edition of the Bill Apter Sealed and Approved Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler. I am joined, as always, by the one and only Mike. And Mike, I have a question for you. Did you bring your credibility to Count It Out today? Because we are debating again. It is go time, baby. I'm coming out swinging.
100%, because there's no way in hell, this Nitro boy is going to get beat by a sicko. Come on now.
Listen, all the best things in life come from Dynamite. The Dynamite
this
Kid
week,
and Dynamite, AEW. It is Dynamite versus Nitro.
This week, on this side of the Zoom screen, this is where the big boys play.
With each other. Hey, classic.
Love
hey,
it.
What's that Kevin Nash line? Hey, what's the adjective or the verb or whatever? What's Afroica? Yeah, that's your side of the screen. Over here, we are playing with Daddy's money. We are Dynamite.
I've got half the mind that you, half the brain that you do.
All right, so we got a fun show today. Mike and I, with AEW Dynamite, getting ready to surpass the number of episodes that Monday Nitro has had. Already 1 point for me. I'll take it. We decided it'd be really fun to each pick a side. Mike will be doing a joint list this week, a battle, if you will, of what had the better moments. So I'll be counting down the top 7 moments so far from AEW Dynamite, and Mike will be counting down the top 7 moments, in his opinion, from Monday Nitro.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to get into this in a little bit because I have a whole spectrum of things that I want to talk about Nitro and Dynamite. But before we get to that, let's talk about what the big news in wrestling is. And of course, that being WrestleMania season.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to pose a question to you, Mike, because I'm seeing a lot of this and I'd love your opinion on it before I give mine.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a poor build to WrestleMania? A lot of people seem to be very underwhelmed by the build to WrestleMania this year, and I'd love to hear your take on it.
So the two things you just said kind of contrast to each other for me personally. I am slightly underwhelmed with the build. However, the words you use, I would not use. Is this a poor build to WrestleMania? No, I don't think so. Just because it's slightly underwhelming at right now, still 3 weeks away, I don't think that constitutes as being. There's been some poor builds to WrestleMania in the past. This is just it's a stacked WrestleMania. There's a lot going on. There's some really good matches to look forward to. I just don't know if they're putting enough attention on some of them. Up until last night, up until yesterday, I don't know how jazzed I was, how excited I was for the for Gunther and Jey Uso. Well, that wasn't
a great angle.
I'll tell you, that wasn't a poor build yesterday. Doing what they did with Gunther and Jimmy was phenomenal. That really did a lot for that story for me. I feel like a lot of the matches, other than like your 2 main events and maybe 1 or 2 other matches, if you ask anybody else, hey, what's all on WrestleMania this year? A lot of people be like, oh fuck, I forget. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a forgettable card to a degree. I have zero idea what is going on with Charlotte and Tiffy. You know what I mean? I don't think there's enough going on in that story. The women's triple threat situation is very strange to me. I don't even know what that match looks like yet. Like that. That's very odd what they've been playing there. I already mentioned the world title situation. I do like that they put the triple threat match in the main event of night one. I like how they did that press conference thing. That moment with Paul and CM Punk was beautiful. That was wonderful. That was exactly what it wanted to be. I love how CM Punk ended that by saying, "Yeah, but that wasn't the favor." That
Did you see that little thing when Roman asked Punk to acknowledge him and Heyman mouthed the words "Don't do it"?
yeah,
Thought that
right.
was a nice little touch as well.
Um, you brought up something, however, to me off air, and I want to tackle this. You feel like Seth feels like the odd man out here.
Yes.
Um, how can we fix that in 3 weeks?
It's just he's gonna have to do something
Mm-hmm.
because the interest. I feel like Roman is kind of like the king in this situation. I'm the most interested in Punk out of everybody, but like Roman is the glue that holds everybody together
Sure,
because I'm
exactly.
I'm more interested to see Roman in a singles match against either one of these guys.
Yeah,
And with the triple threat aspect to it, I just thought the way Seth was presented in that press conference, like that contract signing, he just
yeah.
kind of came across as like a whiny little ex-girlfriend or
I'm not.
boyfriend or whatever. Like
I'm.
he
Yeah.
just like was made to look kind of foolish by both of them. And he's gonna need to do something big, I think, and I think it has to be promo wise. I don't think physicalness is going to be the issue. We all believe Seth Rollins can hang and surpass probably both of those guys in the ring. But from a promo standpoint, I need to be invested more in why Seth doesn't just feel like the guy that's complaining about CM Punk coming back and
Yeah.
reminiscing about old times with Roman Reigns.
Especially because there's no stakes to this match.
Yet.
If there was a title in this match, I think we'd be having a different conversation. But because
We don't know though. Something could get added to this.
well,
I feel like the story is
as
not done being told.
and I hope you're right, but as it stands right now, there's no title on the line for this match. And usually I wouldn't have a problem with that. You have three guys like that, I'd say, oh, it doesn't need a title. The match is going to be great. It doesn't need a title. This match kind of feels like it needs a title.
I agree.
Um,
I don't know if I'm getting main event vibes from this match without that.
yeah.
I will say it's pretty cool that Roman Reigns is about to break a couple of Hulk Hogan's records for main
two,
eventing WrestleManias.
two records being broken just by this one match.
Hmm.
Yeah. What is it? He's got the most main events now, which at 9,
And the most consecutive
and the
main
most
events as well.
most consecutive main events. Is it the most consecutive WrestleManias? Probably not, eh?
No, he missed the pandemic one,
Oh, that's right.
right? So I think Taker would probably still hold the most consecutive WrestleManias or
Mm,
Shawn maybe one of those two. No, Shawn was hurt, so
that would
probably
be Sean.
Taker.
Yeah.
Trip, yeah, Triple H should be in there because Hogan only did 9 consecutive WrestleManias,
Yes. Yeah.
right? I will say that I completely disagree with you on almost everything you've said so far. And
Okay.
I completely disagree with the wrestling world right now. I am really invested in WrestleMania this year.
Okay.
I
I didn't
think
say I wasn't invested.
I think the
I just
build has been great. I don't understand what more people are looking for. And what I think a big problem with this year's build, and I say use the word problem loosely, is I think people are just still on a high from last year's WrestleMania. And last year's WrestleMania was a magical moment with Cody Rhodes. This is a once in a lifetime WrestleMania thing with the finishing the story and the way it built up. And I think people are expecting that every year for WrestleMania. And that is an exception to the rule. This card has been the matches that are announced so far. I would say almost all of them have a fantastic story going into it. I don't agree with the sorry, I do agree with you on the Tiffany Stratton
thank
Charlotte
you.
Flair
Okay.
match. I said almost all of them. I didn't say all of them. I think that it's been a tough transition for Tiffany sliding over to that babyface role. I think she was a much more natural heel, and I don't know why wrestling fans just don't accept Charlotte Flair for being the best women's wrestler and enjoying what we have with her because she is phenomenal.
Because it's
This
not five
this
years ago.
it doesn't matter though. She's
Yeah, no,
still incredible.
no, I
She's
I was on the same page with you for the longest time with Charlotte, and I'm really we'll
she's
see
she's
how I
been
feel
out
after
of
WrestleMania.
she's been out of action for a year.
We're
Like
gonna
this
see
is
how I
her
feel. We'll have this conversation after WrestleMania.
Charlotte's barely been on our screen. She's been hurt for the last year. Like
We'll see.
maybe it's time to like, maybe not change her character, but maybe make a couple tweaks, something a little bit different out
Yes,
of Charlotte. But I
big
mean, she
time.
doesn't have to either. She has a flair. Put on the robe and do your business. Let people hate you. I don't think she has go away heat. I just don't know why people fight against the greatness of her.
I mean, they've been doing that to every person that, and not my words, have been shoved down our throats. It
Fair.
happened to Cena. It happened to Roman. The fact that it hasn't happened to Cody yet is very surprising.
But I honestly, when I'm looking at the card right now, other than that match, I'm not bored by anything on this card. I think AJ Styles and Logan Paul is going to be the sleeper match of WrestleMania. You know they're going to have a great
Look,
match,
how could it not be? I mean,
right?
uh, uh, that match, you're pitting up one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
And he's going to face
and I'll die on
AJ
that.
Styles.
Shut up. And I'll die on that hill against one of the hottest heels and one of the hardest working breakout stars of all time. Nobody has ever come in from outside of the injury, from outside the industry, and worked so hard to get where he is. I could not disagree more with the stuff that I heard Baron Corbin saying last week. I don't know if you've heard any of these
Yeah, he
interviews.
was about how Logan got special treatment and whatever.
Yeah. You know what?
As he should.
We're in an era of special treatment. It's not just him. A lot of people get special treatment.
But
A lot,
that's life.
and that's where the money is. Hey, guess what? Way back at WrestleMania 11, did we have an outsider main event WrestleMania? Yeah, we sure as fuck did, because it was what Vince thought would bring him money at the time.
If
Well,
you
this is-
that's what
this is
WrestleMania was
not
built
new.
on. WrestleMania's been built on celebrities and outsiders. Now Logan Paul is not an
This is not a
outsider.
new thing. Not anymore. No.
He's earned his dues. I agree.
You're
I
damn
agree
right.
100%. I could not disagree with you more also on the women's triple threat build that they're doing. I think this has been incredible stuff. The way that they've kind of borrowed
I'm
from
just confused. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it, and I sure as fuck didn't use the word boring. So please don't put
I
that in my
didn't
mouth.
say that you said boring. I didn't say
But
that at all.
but I'm just confused by it. The Rhea dropping the title, getting it back. The whole
She didn't get
you
the
know.
title back.
No, I read that she won it back yesterday.
No, she
Oh.
lost by disqualification.
Oh, okay. That's not what I read. I haven't seen Raw. I haven't watched Raw.
No, she
Okay.
lost by disqualification, and Bianca Belair was the referee.
Hmm.
So, but
Okay.
like every
That's a bit
segment,
that changes things for me slightly.
every segment these girls have done has been a home run. How Rhea was pissed at Bianca for getting involved, making her lose the title, and then Bianca was like, "Don't get in my face," and Io's like, "Hey, I'm the champ," like, and they're both pie facing her, and then she's like, "Well, no, screw you guys," and she lays them both out, and then Bianca, and then being the triple threat referee, like, and disqualifying both. It was like a double DQ or something, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like Bianca's now taking Rhea out, and Rhea signing the contract like Shawn Michaels did at WrestleMania
Yes,
20
that-
and
I
saying,
love
"I'm
that,
in."
yeah.
Like the best part about all of this as well, though, the in-ring interaction between these three, their triple threat spots that they've just pulled out on Raws have been incredible. To me, I'm more interested to see this match main event night one of WrestleMania because I think it means more, unless they put a stipulation on the Punk match.
If this match was if this match was main eventing night one, I would not have a problem with it in the slightest. These three women have definitely deserved that spot. I think if I had to guess, I'm wondering if there's rumors behind stage, if there's talks behind stage about Punk winding down a bit, not knowing, if I don't do it now, am I going to do it?
Hey, but
You know what I mean? I'm wondering if that's
you
the
shouldn't
thing.
just get gifted a WrestleMania main event either.
No, but there might be some of that happening.
I feel like it's
shouldn't and is happening could be two very different things.
Well, let me ask you a question then. CM Punk main eventing WrestleMania has been a huge talking point for many, many years. both from an in-ring and probably from
Pretty
a
much,
personal
pretty much
standpoint.
since he left the company in 13.
Do
You
you
know,
feel like it was underwhelming having them just be like, "You're gonna main event it"? I thought it was a beautiful moment with Heyman hugging him, but
I
I kind of just was like, "Okay, so you lost the Rumble, you lost that Elimination Chamber. That's okay. Here's the main event, anyways." Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I feel like that could have been a bigger moment, like if you won a Royal Rumble and had that moment in the ring of like, "I did it." Like,
I I could not agree with you more there. There could have been, should have been a little bit more circumstance to it. Like, why are they main eventing? Not just because they're three of the biggest names of the last 15 years. There should be more of a reason, especially since there's no title involved, because you have to like I think there should be an explanation. Hey, why are none of your Royal Rumble winners in the main event? Why is Gunther, who worked his ass off all year, not in the main event? I don't have a problem with them not being in the main event, but there should be an explanation there somewhere. Why do these guys deserve that spot over these guys? That was never explained. It was just like, hey, you're in, buddy.
yeah, but I
You're
mean,
in. Good for you. You're in.
it's
That's all
not a
we
new
got.
thing,
That's
right?
all we
It's
got. You know?
unfortunately it's not a new thing, especially with the Royal Rumble winners, right? Like it's not a new thing where Royal Rumble winners don't main event WrestleManias.
No, I know.
It's business, right?
I know.
To me, I think that the build for this year's WrestleMania has been so good that a match that nobody's talking about that's had a great build is Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, which is another
I
fantastic match.
I didn't bring that up because just like I didn't bring up John Cena and Cody Rhodes because these two builds are flawless.
Yeah,
They're
but
perfect
what
and
I'm
they're perfect for
saying, because I
WrestleMania.
want to talk about Cena and Cody in a minute here, but what I'm saying is that the build has been so good for this match, and I think the build for the entire WrestleMania has been so good that people are sleeping on Randy and Kevin now because it's just been like it's just kind of getting mixed in with all
I
these other
mean,
great builds.
yeah, me personally, I think it's the number one competition for AJ and Logan for match of the pay per view.
Well, I want to talk about the biggest match I think that they're building, and that's John Cena versus
This is
Cody
one of
Rhodes.
one of the biggest matches of the decade, sir.
What did you think of their promo segment on Raw this week?
I didn't get to see a lot of it. I only saw segments. I have to still sit down and watch. I cannot wait till Raw comes back to North America and gets back to normal because this afternoon Raw shit is
Yeah, but
really screwing me up.
you can go back and watch it whenever. It's Netflix.
I know, but it just hasn't happened for me. And
This
then because once a Raw gets spoiled for me, I'm not as inclined to go and watch it right away. So
I will go out of my way to watch anything John Cena is doing right now. I'm so intrigued by him. I thought
the things he has been saying to Cody. Now, do you think this is starting to backfire a bit because now he's getting the crowd behind him?
for about 4 seconds, and then Cody got them right back.
Cody's
Um,
really getting good at doing that. Yeah.
there was a couple exchanges that I just thought were phenomenal. I thought this was John Cena's strongest heel promo by far.
What do you call him? A nepo baby, a psychotic nepo baby, or something like that.
The best line he had is because Cody made the comment about I'm not scared of you, John. Everyone's scared to go on the mic of you because you know you'll bury people or whatever. And John responded back or whatever. But Cody basically said you were chosen by Vince McMahon and shoved down our throat. And Cena's response was, I make empires for billionaires, and all you do is steal money from their kids.
Yeah,
That is the
great line.
greatest. That is the
And
greatest AEW
but
burn, and I'm Mr. AEW this week. That is the
you did
greatest
the
AEW burn I have ever heard in my entire life.
you did the Seinfeld yada 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 there over a great line.
There's so many, I can't get them
Okay,
all in.
you're like, oh, John Cena responded. His response to that line about the mic was beautiful. He says to Cody, I don't bury wrestlers, I bury mediocrity. What a great line.
I mentioned
That's
the bisque.
fantastic.
I mentioned the bisque. The other thing I really liked was when Cena was about to leave, and Cody said, "You know, you sit there and say all these things about me. I've never had an arena full of people chant, 'You can't wrestle' at me." And the fact that it got to Cena. I like that. I like that Cody was able to get to Cena. And I was surprised to see Cody lay out Cena with the crossroads there. I thought that was
Okay,
strong.
okay, so that's your take on that. Okay, because that was my next question. Sometimes I'm not saying this is an instance. I'm not saying this is my opinion, but sometimes I do like it when I think it's a stronger build when there's no touching. And one of the greatest examples of this was Triple H and Batista. Other than that one table spot, the contract spot. They waited till Mania, and sometimes that's so much stronger because you're waiting, you're anticipating. And I was hoping for that for this feud. I didn't want them to touch. Now,
I'm opposite of you.
did the moment hit me and be like, holy shit, because I didn't see it coming? Yes. I just don't know if it was the right move because apparently this is John's last scheduled appearance until WrestleMania.
I hope that's not true.
It's his last scheduled appearance. Will he still can Triple H talk him into coming back or like on the go home? We'll see what happens. But that was his last scheduled appearance before WrestleMania. So if we're treating that like the go home spot, we might be looking at a 17-time world champion come WrestleMania.
I mean, I think the days of that story building is long gone. I don't think we can just base that off of who looks strong. I think that physicality was long overdue now. Not long overdue, sorry. I think it was perfectly placed. These guys, go back to Elimination Chamber. Cody got the hell beat out of him, right?
Yeah.
And then now these guys, for the last 3 weeks, this is the third week of them going back and forth, saying incredibly personal things to each other. And I think it was time for somebody to throw a fist. And I'm glad it happened. I would actually like to see a little bit more physicality. I'd like to see more of an even brawl one more time. Not a pull apart, not a crazy pull apart like they did in the triple threat, but I'd like to see these guys throw a couple fists before one of them powders out.
So here's a question for you. And I'd like to revisit. I'm going to ask you this now, and then I want to revisit this right before, on our go home show to WrestleMania. I want to see if your opinion changes between now and then. Tyler, can John Cena lose at WrestleMania?
I would strongly advise against him losing at WrestleMania. I just don't know where do you go from there if he loses at WrestleMania?
And that's the question. I'm going to ask you the same question worded differently. Can Cody Rhodes lose at WrestleMania?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
There's a way stronger story to be told of John Cena as the champion threatening to take the title with him and Cody in chase trying to get back and save the company. That's a big story.
That's a huge, massive story. And we're on the same page here because that's exactly what I think should be happening here. What happens if John Cena loses at WrestleMania? Where do they go? How do you salvage this entire story? Does it ruin everything that they started at Elimination Chamber until now if John Cena loses?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I don't know where you pivot with Cena if he loses. Because I think that John Cena as a heel needs to be the top heel.
Right.
And I don't think him winning, listen, if he wins this title, it's the record-breaking title. It should be at WrestleMania if he wins it. I don't think it feels special anywhere else.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that now we've got the tease of Randy Orton saying he wants a title shot in St. Louis at Backlash. I think that's a great place to do Cena and Orton as well.
Oh, yeah, big time. Always. Right?
And then, and I think Cody's chasing. And I know I've been pretty open about wanting Cena to do like a 6-man or a tag team for his last match, but John Cena as the world champion heading into Boston to face Cody Rhodes with the stakes of leaving the title.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big last match.
100%. I think they're doing everything right on this story so far. I'm both confused and intrigued to whether or not The Rock comes back into play.
They mentioned him this week.
Oh, did they?
They mentioned him this week.
Okay. In what context?
Cody just kind of mentioned one of us in this ring There's a difference between you and I, and that's one person in this ring didn't sell out to The Rock,
Okay.
and
All
then
right.
they kind of left it at that. So we'll see where it goes from there. If The
Okay,
Rock,
so so
I
so they're
honestly
so
I
they're
don't even
keeping that story in play,
The Rock doesn't even need to be involved right now, though. That's what's so good about this build.
but should he be involved at WrestleMania?
I mean, it doesn't hurt to have an appearance. I'd love to see him eat a stunner, I'll tell
I
you.
I promise you now, though, they better just leave what's his name, Travis Scott, out of it.
I think bring him. Why not bring him in?
Um,
You don't want to see Cody get a receipt on Travis
Cody,
Scott?
I want to see the receipt. I don't think he would take the receipt, but I want to see it.
I don't know if he'd have much of a choice to take it, depending on how they book his
No,
spot.
well, no, what I mean is I don't think Cody would go for the receipt. I think he's smart enough to not hurt one of the biggest music people in the world right
I
now.
don't know. It's kind of a pretty cool way to make a name for yourself. Well, that's our WrestleMania talk here. Mike and I, a little bit different opinions on the lead up to
Yeah,
WrestleMania, but I think we're both
and,
in agreement that it's going to be a great night, a great two
and
nights of wrestling.
we'll see how we're talking in a couple weeks from now.
We had a fun little conversation break out into one of our group chats that we're in, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought we transferred over to the show. We were, I don't know, I wasn't really around my phone the last couple days. We had a big power outage up where I live, but
So this conversation actually started on. I'm still in a group chat with the WrestleMania boys, and Adam brought up this concept for a conversation in the WrestleMania group chat, and strangely enough, I had already been thinking about this, and I was going to pitch this as a conversation to you. So I had invited Adam, said, why don't we go and talk about this? And Adam unfortunately couldn't make it today. So he won't be part of this conversation, but I know he'll be listening and be happy. And Adam's idea, and partially my idea, was to discuss what you call it an infamous match from WrestleMania 17. I have fond memories of it. Do you?
I love it.
Yeah, me
I got
too.
so excited when I heard this idea.
We're going to visit the gimmick battle royal from WrestleMania 17 and see what it would look like if we did it at WrestleMania 41.
Yeah, this was, I really put a lot of thought into some of the names that I'm going to say that I think would be great for it, because there's got to be a factor of fun nostalgia, but
Mhm.
also like you still got to be able to get over the top rope, or you're the Iron Sheik and you can't get over the top rope and you win.
Now, yeah. Now I focused on gimmicks that came after like that era, right? They used gimmicks from the older days, right? Is that what you did as well, or did you go to anybody who's alive?
I mean, if I think you can get in the ring and
Okay.
go, because
All right.
GCW, do you know GCW is actually doing this?
No, I didn't know.
They're doing like a over 60 battle royal or something, over 55 person, like you have to be over 55 to be in the battle royal.
I love that.
I actually should pull that up. I'd like to see the names in that. I can't remember. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a fun little thing they're doing for one of their WrestleMania shows.
Yeah.
But a couple of the names I think I have in there are also on theirs. So I
Um,
also I stuck more with WWE. I have a couple names that could go in that aren't WWE.
I say the only way you could cheat is if it was a well, no, because one of mine is even cheating to that rule. Yeah, whatever. There's no such thing as cheating. It's the gimmick battle royal.
Well, why don't we go? We'll go one for one here. You go one, I'll go
I,
one.
I did not prepare as much as I wanted to, so I don't have.
I'm over prepared. I
Yeah,
have about
I know
30
you
different
do.
names. So
Okay,
we'll go
and
one for one till you run
I
out.
sure as fuck don't. Okay, very good. I just hope you don't say any of the names that I
And
want to say
who
before.
would you say your winner would be also? I'd like to know.
Let's finish that off. We'll do that as the finish.
All right, well, you
All
go
right,
first.
me first. Okay.
Yeah, because I've got more than you.
Let's start with I'm gonna start with Santino Marella.
Great call. Great call. I'm going to go with one that it's just ridiculous and it's not a top choice of mine, but every gimmick battle royal has to have a Doink the Clown in it.
Yes, no, that's I have that written down as well. I don't even care who plays him. Though, if I had my way, he can't do it, but it'd be great if Jericho came and played him.
Oh my God.
I would love that so much. I'm gonna go Gangrel.
Yeah, I have him written down as well. I am going to go with the Headbangers.
That okay. Yep, I love it because my very next name is Beaver Cleavage.
Oh God. What about Rico the Stylist?
Love Rico. For those who haven't seen it, go check out our good friend Jonah R3 has a great interview with Rico recently.
Rico's looking jacked.
Did he ever? Um, I'm gonna go with Pirate Paul Birchhill.
Okay, interesting call. How about I'm going with Maven? I think Maven's a fun callback.
All right. I guess I was more like looking at gimmicky gimmicks,
Yeah,
but
I've got
yeah,
some gimmicky. You need guys that can still move around too.
yeah,
Tough enough as
yeah.
a gimmick.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna cheat here because I got a lot of gimmicks all in one. There's like five guys coming
Oh
out for
God,
this one. I'm bringing out the entire Spirit Squad.
that's a good call. I didn't think of that one. Stand back because we have a hurricane coming
Love it.
through.
Yeah, 100%. Uh, nobody in their right mind will even remember this guy, but I know he's alive. He probably can't work, but fuck it. I'm going Kurgan.
Kurgan?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think if you're gonna have a gimmick battle royal, he's the boogeyman and he's coming to get you. Has to be
Oh
in
my
there.
God. How could I not think of the biggest of that generation? Oh my God. Good call. I can't believe I didn't even think of the boogeyman. Okay, let me think. Let me think. Let's go. Let's go Mordecai.
All right. Interesting call. Interesting call. How
I mean, I
about
could go Kevin Thorne, I guess, but
I think Lord Tenzai would be a good one because Albert is the head trainer in the WWE PC Center.
would you Tensai or you just go for Lord for Albert?
I would go
Albert's
for Albert, but you wanted to go a
yeah.
little bit more gimmicky. So, and if you
Okay.
wanted to, you could make him the hip hop hippo and throw Scotty 2 Hotty in there with him as well.
Oh, I mean, I guess in that case, then for one night only, we could bring back the Funkasaurus himself,
Brodus Clay.
Brodus Clay.
Yeah, you could bring Flash Funk in there with him as well.
Yes, love that, love that. I know he's still working. So, and if I'm not mistaken, he may have even been in the WrestleMania 17 one. Um, let's go Duke the Dumpster Droese.
Yeah, throw Duke in there. Why
Yeah,
not? What about Hornswoggle?
of course. You can't do this without Hornswoggle. It just doesn't make any sense. All right,
What about SmackDown's number one announcer? You want to throw Funaki in there?
Funaki, do it. Go for it. You know what? Throw in the entire Kai and Tai.
Yeah, why not? Throw him in
Yeah,
there.
why not?
Indeed.
Let's do some. Let's choppy some pee pee. All right, I'm technically sort of cheating here, but I'm not because the man still works for the company. He works for the company, so I'm gonna do something really weird. A one-time only appearance, the return to wrestling for the one and only, the greatest luchador in the world, El Generico.
All right. I guess poor Sami Zayn if he had to do that. Do you think that the WWE would get cancel culture if they put Eugene in this battle royal?
Probably.
Well, then let's take Eugene out. How about a deep cut? How about the return to professional wrestling of Muhammad Hassan?
Probably also still get cancel cultured, but I like it.
All right, fine. Let's go with the Godfather then.
I'm gonna bring back why can't I spit out his name? Damien Sandow.
Damien Sandow, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. How about James Ellsworth, I think is a nice cut for this.
I don't know, man. He charges like $2 a minute. He's gonna get pricey.
What do you got? You got any more
What
out
else?
there?
I've got no more written down. I'm just trying to remember people.
It's not his fault. Gene Snitsky, I think, would be a nice
Love
callback.
that. Love
What
that.
about the Powers of Pain, the Warlord and the Barbarian? They're still working.
Okay. Good
The
call there.
Great
Uh-huh.
Khali, I think, would be fun to throw in there.
I think you got your winner right there. I don't
Nah,
know.
my winner is something
I
different.
who's putting Kali over these days?
I
No
mean,
one, no. Kali's not going over the top rope.
Ricky Morton, I think would be fun just to throw in there. Good friend of Cody Rhodes, Glacier could be fun to put in there.
Love that.
Good friend of the Undertaker, Savio Vega could go in there.
Mm-hmm.
Al
Like that.
Snow, Al
You know
Snow could
what? You
go
know
in
what?
there.
Screw Savio Vega then. I want Quang.
Quang would be great. I would love that.
Okay, and then Al Snow has to come out as
Leaf Cassidy or
no
Avatar.
Avatar.
No, give me Leaf Cassidy. Little Guido, I think would be a nice one in there.
Okay, in that case, I also want to see what's his name? Vito, not Vito. Is
Yeah,
that his name? Yeah,
put Vito,
Vito.
Vito in the
Yeah,
dress in there.
yeah.
Now, you might not like my choice for the winner here, but this is my choice for the winner because I think it's just like would make him feel great, and I know he had the itch a couple years ago.
Hmm.
My winner of the gimmick battle royal would be Mankind.
Okay, so I had Mankind written down, and I didn't say him because I didn't know if he can go. Like he's in bad fucking shape.
I think a battle royal is safe.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? He's as long as he just doesn't take,
it's
as long
too
as he's
it's
not Mankind.
it's too bad. It's too bad. That it's a battle royal, not Rumble rules. Because to see him do the three character
Oh
thing
yeah,
again
that'd be fun. I mean,
would be so good.
why can't he just do it? Just pull the
Yeah, he
mask
could.
off
He
and be
could.
dude
He
love.
could.
You know
He
what I
could just.
mean?
He could just do it. Yeah. Dude Love made an appearance not long ago. I don't
He's
know if it
working
was
with
at
OVW.
yeah, he's at OVW doing some stuff with Jack Vaughn,
Yeah,
which is great because I don't know if you've seen one of my favorite T-shirts that Jack Vaughn puts out. Jack Vaughn's got a T-shirt that says "Mrs. Foley's baby boy's favorite wrestler."
that's funny.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you?
That's all I really got. That'd be fun.
It'd be fun little
You
thing to
know,
do.
that'd be great.
What do you
Even
think? You
if,
want to
even if it wasn't on WrestleMania, go ahead and put it on fucking,
give me anywhere?
put it on Heat. Wait,
Bring back Heat.
yeah, bring back Heat.
Well, speaking of Heat, you want to debate or what?
Oh, I'm ready to go. I'm ready for this. I'm prepared. I told you off air. We've been very open about this over the last 5 years. The hardest part about doing our list is always the number 7.
Mm-hmm.
And this probably rings more true with this list than any other list I've done. The number 7 is extremely difficult for me. But other than that, I think I'm going to stand. I am standing with what I chose in the end. But other than the hard number 7, my list is pretty solid. I feel very, very confident going up against you today.
My number 7 and number 6, I think, are whatever, but my 5 through 1, I think, are going to really give you a run for your money.
Hmm.
Did
No,
you
our
did
lists
you
are
in,
based on very different things, though, because my list on paper, some of these things are just like, yeah, okay, so that guy was there. Who cares? But you have to think of how it affected the Nitro versus WWE war at the time, right? Why was that important? So that was a lot. That was very important. Where your list, because of where we are in professional wrestling right now, even though Tony wants to believe he's in a war, he's not. So your list, I think your list is a little bit tougher than mine because your list really has to be more based on that moment. Just has to be a holy shit moment. Not it doesn't have the ratings we're in like that to rely on. I think you have a tougher job in front of you than I do.
well, 100% I do. And the way that the world is too, things are a lot different. It's tougher to
Yeah.
find those viral moments now because everything's a viral moment these days. But
Mhm.
here's what I want to say about Nitro and about AEW Dynamite. And you know what? I want to say it about TNA Wrestling, and we talked about this off air too. The one thing that I find that all of these companies struggle with doing is making these big moments into legendary moments. Um, and that's something that the
And
WWE is phenomenal at
yes,
doing.
and I think all 7 moments on my list are ingrained in the memories of all of us for the last 25 years. However, you made a good point. I can't remember if this was on camera or off camera, but you made a great point where this is why, again, my list is a little bit easier. These moments that I'm going to be talking about are ingrained in our memory because WWE's been shoving them in our face for the last 25 years.
That's what I was just going to
You
ask you.
know,
Are your Nitro moments legendary moments because of how WCW has portrayed them or looked back on them, or is it because of how WWE turned great moments into legendary moments?
I think my top three for sure are legendary, or my top four are legendary moments regardless. I just we'll get there when I get there, but some of the moments are just, you know, they're legendary moments, but it may be because WWE keeps reminding us that they're legendary moments. But that doesn't take away the fact that they are legendary moments, and that's what this list is.
Well, let's start off with our number sevens.
How
Again,
do you want to do this?
we'll go 7-7, 6-6. We'll go back and
Sure.
forth here, and we'll see if we can convince the other of what moment is bigger than the other.
Okay.
My 7 and 6, I'm a little lukewarm on, but
Mm-hmm.
I think overall I put together a good list. Why don't you start us off there,
Sure.
since Nitro is not the stronger, superior show any longer, that AEW is about to become the longest show ever on TBS for Monday nights or Wednesday nights or whatever weekly wrestling they're saying. I don't know. We love Tony Khan. He can do no wrong. Tony for
So,
Twitter King.
oh my God. So, like I said, this one number seven was hard for me, and I was rotating three, and I fell on one. I never do this, and we don't usually do this on the show, but I'm going to do this once. I'm going to tell you it just didn't make the spots.
Yeah.
In the number seven, this close was the very first time we saw Sting in the black and white makeup.
Okay.
Just didn't make it. Also, the fact that the very first Nitro and the very last Nitro had Sting and Ric Flair facing off against each other, I thought combined would have been a great moment to talk about, but we're getting into some weird territory there, so I decided to push that away.
Yeah.
And my number seven, we are still talking about the very first Nitro because the very first Nitro is legendary. It's an important event in the history of professional wrestling. But the moment we're going to focus on is the debut of the re-debut of Lex Luger to WCW, walking out on Nitro when he was not supposed to be there. And we're talking, this is September 4th, 1995.
Yeah, this was a great way to start off Nitro.
Mm-hmm.
This to me is
to show you that anybody can show up and anything can happen on the very first show. That's a big way to start.
To me, this is the perfect example of how the WWE made a big
Yes.
moment feel into an iconic moment. Because I don't think WCW capitalized on, hey, Lex Luger fought in a WWE house show 2 nights ago, and now he's on Nitro. I don't think
They didn't
that.
talk about it enough. The same thing, and I can talk about this because it's not on my list. They did the same thing with Rick Rude. Do you think they didn't capitalize enough of saying, "Hey, by the way, Rick Rude's on the other show too"?
Yeah, I think that was them trying to be a little cute, too cute, tongue in cheek, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like when you look back on things, this was a cool moment because it's the first Nitro and it was, a WWE guy showing up on it. It was the first real like shot fired in a Monday
Yes,
Night War
yes.
that what would turn into a Monday Night War. I
Yeah,
should
because there's
say.
no way Vince, with Vince's ego, there's no way he thought this was going to turn into anything. Okay, yeah, they want to go head to head, go for it. Big deal. It still stings to him that Hogan jumped over and stuff like that. But what are you going to do on Monday nights? You can't touch me. And he's probably still felt like that because he's like, big deal. It's Lex Luger. He's like, I don't need Lex anyways. You know what I mean? And that was
Which
probably
and I mean it didn't
which
really do
long
it
run, no.
didn't go anything, at
So
least for a
there's
couple of years. It took Luger a couple of years to really come into that top babyface spot for a while.
So I don't think that the Vince even considered the fact that a war was coming yet. But goddamn, was a war coming.
Okay. My number seven. For my number 7, Mike, I just want you to know that you're one of my best friends and I love you. But you can go fuck
Fuck yourself.
yourself.
Surprise is number 7. I thought it'd be in a much better place.
I mean,
I probably put. I don't know what the rest of your list could look like, but this would probably be my top 3. This is a great moment.
no, there's some moments in AEW that really surpass this, but this one I thought was a fun little way to throw a shot your way as well for my number 7, tell you to go fuck yourself. But I'm talking about the first time that we saw Edge and Christian do a segment together. It was the first Dynamite after.
You don't like the moment. You don't even want it on your list. You just wanted to tell me to go fuck myself.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you know me, I'm not a big fan of swearing in wrestling. Like, like the big words, like fucking. I don't mind shit so much anymore because it's not really a big swear word. I can evolve with time on that one.
Yeah.
But I don't find that the word fuck gets used very.
Why do you keep calling it a Frankensteiner? That's bullshit.
I just watched I watched that clip today as well. The swear jar with Scott Steiner.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there have been 2 instances in wrestling where the F word has been used very strongly. And I thought this was a great one. Of course, Cody Rhodes to The Rock was also phenomenal. But I just thought, what a moment. And it went viral. It was AEW, being shocking in the right kind of way. And I just thought it was a beautiful moment because, especially as a Canadian too, like we love us some Edge and Christian and that magical team that they had. And we haven't seen them together in a long time. And, Edge debuting, I won't call him Cope. I'm sorry. I won't. I can call him Adam Copeland, but I won't call him Cope. But Edge debuting in AEW was a cool moment. Like he's got a love for professional wrestling, so he's there like because he wants to fight, he wants to wrestle the people. It's like Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson. He wants to just wrestle the way he wants to wrestle on his way out, and I get that, and I think we're seeing that with Edge as well. And to see them have that moment and embrace on the screen, and then Christian with his smug face, one of the best heels in AEW, just look at the camera and go fuck yourself. Great moment. And I think my number 7 can tell Lex Luger to go fuck himself as well. That's what I'm going with. And we'd love to hear your guys' feedback.
I think I won the battle of number 7s here.
I don't know about that, man. You just told me that my number 7 should be my number 3. So I think you just conceded the point to me.
No, I'm telling you that my number 7 is better than your number 3.
No chance. Let's leave it up. I would love to hear any comments that you guys have. Leave them on our YouTube. Leave them. YouTube's the best way to do it, but leave them anywhere you can. Yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think. So number 7,
we are open for chat on Discord. Go in there. Let us know what.
I don't know what that means. How about I'll go with my number 6 then. My number 6.
What's happening here?
Yeah, I'll go, and then you go. And then we'll do like the snake. We'll do like the snake rotation.
Okay.
My number 6. It's not my favorite moment in AEW history, but people really love this segment, and it was a strong segment for what the feud was, and that is Hangman Adam Page burning down Swerve Strickland's house.
Yeah. 6-7 spot. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I mean, I didn't like their matches. I just thought they took the matches too far with the needles and stuff like that. But I thought the way that they were able to portray their hatred for each other, and this was a really great angle because like they had just re-signed Swerve to like a new deal, and they showed Swerve, and it wasn't even like a hype video. Like they just did it on like a throwaway little thing. On like a pre-show for a pay-per-view showing Swerve like buying his childhood house back. And then for Hangman the very next week to be like, you showed me a weakness. You showed me something you care about, and I'm here to destroy it. And because Hangman, he was like the Kevin Owens heel here, where like Swerve did the same shit to Hangman. He showed up at his house, videotaped his kids, videotaped his wife, and people loved it. But when Hangman did it, he was the worst guy on the planet. I thought this was a really strong heel promo from Hangman Page.
Yeah, I can agree with you. I think it's a great spot and it's a great moment. It deserves to be on your list. I've got absolutely no issue with that promo. I agree with pretty much everything you said there because I wasn't a fan of their matches.
Yeah.
But the storytelling they did there was phenomenal.
And that's a rare case for AEW where I enjoy
Yes,
the storytelling
more
better
than
than
the
the
match.
in-ring, because the
Agreed.
in-ring, I will say AEW's in-ring is
Well,
you can't hold a candle to
you
it.
you texted me saying, "Hey, are you gonna add matches?" And I do have two matches on my card, but I don't. It's not the matches
The
I'm
moment
talking
in the
about. It's the
match.
moments in the match.
Yeah.
Um, if I couldn't right away, I told you, I said, no, we're not going to do matches because that's not a fight.
No, it'd be a
Match,
landslide.
matches on Nitro versus matches on Dynamite. That's not a fucking fight.
Yeah.
That's Dynamite right now. The AEW right now has some of the greatest in ring content in wrestling, and I'm never going to take that away from them. They just hurt everywhere else, unfortunately.
Yeah. What do you got for your number 6?
My number 6, speaking of in-ring content, a night where the in-ring content was kind of put on hold for a bit because a certain Macho Man Randy Savage held the company hostage, sat in the ring, and wouldn't let anything happen. And it was the first time we saw Sting fall from the rafters to save the day. Huge moment, huge pop. We see it replayed over and over and over again. It's something he became iconic for. Sting, I love Sting coming and just fucking saving the day too.
Um, I mean, as far as a moment goes, I don't think this would have made my list. I don't remember, like I can vaguely remember this moment. Like I think like
Hey,
you're taking
if
Sting.
Alex Riley can't get Macho Man out of the ring, the only person that can do it is Sting. That's all
I
I'm gonna
mean,
say.
Alex Riley should have challenged him to a dance off. He would have got him out in no time. But
No,
I
I think
don't.
it's a huge moment, man.
But
This is a memorable moment
is
for
this a memorable moment, or is it because it's Sting like rafter dropping?
Sting rafter dropping for the first time. It's
But so
iconic.
it like
That imagery of him falling for the like it's been replayed thousands of times.
I don't think he got me on this one. I don't think I can get behind this being on the list. I think there's a lot stronger moments than Sting coming down during a Macho Man promo.
All right, well, I
Um,
guess we can talk about that
I
after
think
the list.
like Sting coming down and like whooping the NWO's ass like on Nitro, like I
Hmm.
would get more behind some of those moments, but this one I'm not. I just think that there's a lot better that Nitro put out than the Sting coming down the Raptors randomly one time for the first
Well,
time.
I guess we could discuss that in the honorable mentions, but
Yeah, I'd
for
like to see what
now,
you left off the list for this
for
because
now, we'll agree to disagree as we move on to my number 5. Because I know you'll, I don't know if you agree with my placement, but you'll definitely agree with the fact that it deserves to be on the list. And this is the Outsiders destroying WCW on July 29th, 1996.
is this when they torpedoed Ray?
Yes.
I'm surprised this is your number 5. I thought it would be a little lower on the list, but yeah, I mean,
Originally, I thought it was going to be in my top 3, but you'll understand when we get to the top 3.
this is yeah, I mean, and this is I
This,
think this is going to be cool for our debate because this is a prime example of what we talked about earlier, but like this is a point for WCW. This is a moment that WCW did on their own and made
yeah,
feel iconic.
yes.
And I'm gonna
This
just
was the
segue. Wait.
first.
Before you go into detail, because I want to
Yeah.
segue into what my number 5 is, so I can
Mm,
show you an iconic moment that AEW has never capitalized on, and I
okay.
forgot about it until I did my research.
Yeah.
And that's the iconic shot of Cody Rhodes doing a flying cross body onto Shaq and going through 2 tables on AEW Dynamite.
This is your number
Shaqu
5.
yeah, this is a great moment, but nobody fucking remembers it. Shaquille
I,
O'Neal is one of the
I
biggest stars in wrestling, or sorry,
mm,
in the world, not wrestling. Shaquille O'Neal is a huge name, and you get a guy like that agreeing to not only have a match in wrestling, but to take a flying crossbody through 2 tables. The visual of this was incredible, and it's unmemorable, and that is a huge flaw for AEW.
I think Sting just fell from the rafters on this one for me, man. I think how you feel about Sting falling from the rafters is how I feel about this one.
If this moment happened in the WWE at a big pay-per-view or a big Monday Night Raw,
Yeah.
people would remember it huge.
Uh,
It'd be like a Mike Tyson pushing Steve Austin moment. Shaquille O'Neal is a huge star. To get him to take a huge table bump, do you remember the bump? Do you remember it?
I very vaguely,
Exactly.
very
That's the
vaguely.
problem. Go back and watch the clip. Shaq eats this table. It is crazy. But AEW doesn't know how to capitalize on a big moment like that. Your number 5 has got my number 5 beat, especially
My
from the iconic standpoint of
my number
Nitro.
five.
Nitro did a great job of making this moment feel iconic.
My number five was, I think it was the first declaration of war really from the outsiders in the NWO. That was the first time they really felt like a threat. It wasn't just them walking through the crowd, wasn't them, talking shit and being bullies. They came out, they put their money where their mouths were. They really proved we're here to do some fucking damage. And they did it, man. What a great segment that was.
This whole segment was
Absolutely
great. And the aftermath, the way they shot it, of just showing all the chaos, like Arn Anderson in the neck brace, Ray laid out. The Ray torpedo moment on its own could be a spot on your list. Like the whole segment in general obviously does it. The way that the match, like the way that there was a match going on in the ring, and the way that they cut to it by having a referee run out and be like, "You guys need to get backstage right now," and the camera following it, it was all very newly done. It's kind of like what we.
Bischoff was very big on that Gonzo style. He was very big on reality television. That was his bread and butter. That's what he loved, and that's what he wanted to bring to Nitro. He wanted Nitro to feel like that anything could happen. This is a reality show. This isn't professional wrestling. This is Gonzo style. And that was the first time we really felt that.
Is this the same segment where it ended with Macho Man like on top of the limo as it drove away?
No, I don't think so.
Because they did a couple backstage stuff like this.
No, Macho Man wasn't in the NWO in 19.
No. He was WCW when they all went from the ring and chased them all to the back. Is this the same segment where when the outsiders got in the limo and Macho was on top of it as he drove away?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not going to shy away and think that my Cody and Shaq moment shouldn't be on a list because it's a huge moment, but the AEW lost me this point by not knowing how to capitalize on it.
Well, I do think I've got you for the rest of the list. I do, but
I don't.
I could very much be wrong. Let me see what you got for your number 4.
My number 4, I've got the incredible entrance of Chris Jericho with no theme music and the crowd singing his theme song.
Ooh, I think we're going to tie on this one.
This moment was awesome. Okay. This was in the middle of Chris Jericho's amazing feud with MJF, which, as an honorable mention, I did love when they did their show tune together, like that song and dance thing. That was
great.
I did put some thought into putting that on the list. I'm not
honestly, if that was there instead of the Shaq Cody stuff, we'd be talking about.
No, that Shaq Cody thing is huge. I'm not going to back down from that. But this was part of their stipulation where there was no Judas allowed in this match. There was no Judas effect. Jericho couldn't hit his finisher on MJF, and MJF took his theme music away. And this was at a point where Chris Jericho had, you want to talk about... This was
the, what was it, the 7 challenges of Jericho or something like that?
Yeah, Nick Gage. This is a whole great angle. This is
a great story. I love this.
Yeah. He fought Hoovy on Dynamite that one week too, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But Jericho, you want to talk about all these great entrances we see in the WWE right now with the crowd singing along. I mean, Jericho started that trend with Judas. 100%. And, for him to come out with no theme music and the entire arena sang Judas as he walked down was a goosebump moment. Very, very cool. And it was
Jericho
funny
too, because he's probably come out going, "Why do I have to be a heel right now? Because I want to."
No, he was a face at this point.
Was he really?
Well, he's fighting MJF. Of course he was.
I thought MJF was the face at this point.
MJF only did the face run with Adam Cole so far. That's it. All but right. The funny part is though, right when the crowd started singing, the ring announcer started trying to announce Jericho, and you could just hear everybody be like, "Shut the fuck up!" Like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Okay. I got my work cut out for me. I do have a great moment here. Does it beat that? I'm not sure. At the very, it doesn't beat it. It might tie it. I don't think it loses to it. It might tie it. Definitely doesn't beat it because that is a great number 4. My number 4 is a moment that I know is near and dear to your heart. I know you love this moment. This moment is the only moment I'll talk fondly coming out of WCW in 1999.
Oh God.
We're going to March 29th, 1999, right here in Toronto, baby, where Bret Hart outsmarted Bill Goldberg in one of the greatest fucking spear moments of all time.
Yeah, when Brett had the plate on, this was a cool
Yes,
moment. This was an
this
awesome moment.
was an awesome moment. Um, Bret's out there talking shit. He's wearing the Leafs jersey, which no one questioned, right? No one said, "Why is he wearing something so
Well, because
baggy?"
he would always do it.
It wasn't to be questioned. And then Goldberg comes out, doesn't even bother talking shit. He's like, "No, I'm just going to take care of you." Spears him and doesn't get up.
Here,
It was a Clint Eastwood Marty McFly moment, and I'm a huge Back to the Future fan.
apparently so is Brett.
So when I didn't know that.
Well, I
So
mean,
when,
he's still the spot.
okay. So when I saw that in 1999, I'm just like, it's Back to the Future 3. I'm like, holy shit. I love that spot so much. It is one of my favorite Nitro moments in history.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If that moment didn't happen in Toronto with Bret Hart and it happened anywhere else and we weren't Canadian, would that be looked upon so fondly?
It would. I think this because the spot is so smart. As fondly, I don't know because Brett just there was something very psychological, very like Brett was just so smart to do that. Um,
And
I
then
guess it depends. But like, for example, if DDP did it, if that wouldn't make sense, I know, but uh um even if Jeff Jarrett did it, it still would have been a really cool spot. I think Brett brought some charisma to it though.
and then they
Because
went and
WCW heel Brett was so fucking bad. And it's probably one of the only great moments to come out of that. It is the salvaging moment to come out
I
of
think
that.
Brett had three great moments in his WCW career, and this was probably the top of them. Maybe the second best moment.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't adding matches, or else my number
Yeah,
one might be his match with Benoit for the Owen tribute.
hard to argue, right?
But yeah, Brett's WCW run, we could do a whole show on that. We really could.
This is a moment that exactly goes to my point of WCW not knowing how to take a great moment and make it an iconic moment
Yeah.
because there was no follow up to this ever.
No.
And at the end of this segment, what everybody forgets is Bret Hart gets up and goes, "Hey, Eric Bischoff, I
I
quit."
quit.
And totally
And
like shits on the whole moment. Like
yeah.
everyone was like, "Okay, well, this was a great thing, and now this is stupid."
Yeah.
Um,
And the feud never ended. So maybe that's the payoff.
yeah, it never.
If you want to hear more about that moment, go back in our archives and listen to the interview we did with Eric
Yeah,
Bischoff.
and Eric said
Um,
in that interview,
Eric
it was
Eric
Bret's
do,
idea.
Eric does talk about this spot.
All right,
My number,
that's a hard one to judge on that one. I'm gonna leave that up to the listeners to
I
judge.
I think we're tied on that one, bud. I
That's a
do.
cool, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
cool one.
My number three. I don't know what your number three could be, but this is an agree, and you're gonna say it, so I'm just gonna beat you to the punch. Yes, this is a moment hyped up and shoved in our faces by WWE for the last 25 years. Yes, it is, but for a fucking reason. You and I have discussed this segment on this show at nauseum in the past, and it has to come up again today because why couldn't it? Why wouldn't it? Because you know who he was, but you don't know why he was there. Scott Hall walking out on Nitro on May 27th, 1996 is one of the most shocking and greatest moments in the history of Nitro.
I'm surprised this is only your number three. I thought it would be in the 2 or 1 spot, to be honest. This is the moment that changed everything for WCW.
Mhm.
And this is a moment that the moment I agree with you that WWE kind of made more iconic, but the follow-up and the storytelling that WCW did made this moment important.
Yeah.
We don't need to run down, like you said, we've talked about it
No,
at
we talked about
nauseam.
this so many times on this show. Everybody knows this moment. I'd like to know what it's going up against, though.
My number three moment is a moment that when it happened was shocking and incredible during a very hard time in wrestling with our pandemic era. And I'm
Mhm.
talking about when Kenny Omega won the AEW World Championship with the help of TNA Wrestling's Don Callis. And they
Mhm.
went and ran backstage and said, if you want to hear what's going on with this, tune
You got to go
into
to
Impact Wrestling.
Impact. Yeah, I think we have another tie here
This is a
because
moment.
this is very important. Again, though, like fuck, I hate AEW so much because this should be their Scott Hall walking out of Nitro, but it's not. It should be. This should be one of the pivotal moments of AEW in general. But do we talk about it enough? Is it, put up there on a pedestal? I don't think it is.
I
And
forgot about this
how
moment.
sad is that? Because this moment it was like,
This is the first
this is
time.
this is where Tony started coming up with his Forbidden Door idea.
Well,
You know what
that's
I
what I was
mean?
just going to say. This is the first time that we saw two major North American companies since
Mm,
1996 work together on screen.
yes.
Huge moment.
This almost may should have been your number one. This
My
moment,
number one,
this
there's
is
no doubt about what my number one was going to be the whole
okay.
time. But and my number two is a way
I
better moment.
I guess I forgot. I thought this was at a pay-per-view.
No, this was on Dynamite.
I
Winter
forgot
is coming Dynamite.
that's right. See, I always because they only do so many, they don't do as many pay-per-views a year as WWE does. I forget that they do those special dynamites, those
Hmm.
winters, because those winters comings and I forget the Dynasty or whatever.
Yeah,
Is
no,
that
Dynasties are pay-per-view.
there's
They
another
do
one
like
that they do.
Firefighter. I
Yeah.
don't
Oh,
know what they
yeah.
do.
Firefight or
I don't
whatever.
know what it is. Yeah.
Those they have a pay-per-view feel to them.
Hmm.
And didn't Sting debut at one of them?
He debuted at this event,
Was
the
it that one? Yeah,
Winterfest. Yeah.
yeah.
It's Steve.
So yeah, they have a pay-per-view feel to them. So I guess I forgot it was Dynamite. But this moment, I don't know if we're talking legacy, if we're talking of all time, what are we going to be talking about in 50 years from now? I think I win this one.
Yeah, oh, 100%. Because it's another one where AEW doesn't know how to take a big moment and make it iconic.
Yeah,
Mike,
but
this
the
made
moment was massive, though.
if you go back into our archives and you look at the very first ever year-end show that we did, this made my list. I forgot about this moment until I was researching for this.
Yeah,
That's sad.
yeah.
I do think though that my number two moment is going to beat your number two moment.
Okay.
But here's the problem with my number two moment.
Mhm.
I didn't know if it happened on Dynamite or Collision because I can't tell the
Oh,
difference. So I had to research it. And
okay.
thankfully for me, it happened on Dynamite.
Okay.
And it is probably the greatest angle, in my opinion, that AEW has ever shot. And that is the heel turn of Mariah May onto Toni Storm, beating her to a bloody pulp with her shoe.
I have zero idea what your number one is because I thought for sure this when you said your number one was solidified, I thought this was it.
You might think
What
my
the
number
fuck
one
could
is a
your
bit
number
of a
one be?
cheat code, but we'll talk about that when we get there.
All right. This Okay, we'll talk about whether or not it's bigger than my number two when I get to my number two. Um, but this is massive. This is a big one. I
This is the one of my favorite angles I've seen in a long time.
the, this change this solidified Toni Storm as one of my favorite female wrestlers of this decade. We talked about this ad nauseum at the year-end show last year. Um, Tony, the storytelling. This is the best storytelling, by the way, AEW has done in the history of their company. The
That I'd
Tori,
say second best.
the Tony Storm, not just that angle, everything. Tony Storms ever since she became timeless, everything
I
since then
I
is
think
the
she's the
greatest
most
storytellers.
I think she's the greatest character AEW's ever come up with, but I do think
Yes,
that the Hangman Adam Page title chase story is still
you
the
really.
best.
I'm
That
going to disagree with you there.
that was
I do
so many
think that
years and
Tony.
layers of storytelling that all worked out.
Yeah, I think everything they've done with Tony, right up to right now, is some of the best storytelling that they've done.
Oh, her tag team with Thunder Rosa, Thunder Tits.
Thunder Tits, love Thunder Tits.
So great. So great.
You know what segment? This is off topic, but you know what segment? If I need a good giggle, I always go back to watch.
What's that?
Just like if I'm in a shitty mood, I'm like, I need to giggle. I always go back to the thing with her and Renee.
The first time she threw the shoe?
Yes, and she's like, smiles up, whatever, chins up, tits out, and watch for the shoe.
I love Renee too. She's like, come on.
I don't know why I still watch that every single time I'm in a bad mood.
That's a great angle. Great moment.
All right. Let's see if I can do this. Because is it bigger than that? I don't know. But is it fucking massive? Yes, I do think it is. We're going to July 6th, 1998. We just saw a match that puts the NWO WCW world title against at this time the biggest streak in the history, and we see Goldberg win his first world title on Nitro.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge
now let's break this down for a second, because a lot of people, I think, over time, and I might have been one years back, I've changed my tune, would be like, why was this on paper? Why was this on TV? What a stupid thing. Why wouldn't you make money on this? Why wouldn't you put this on a pay-per-view? But here's the thing. It's 1998. It's July of 1998. They're starting to lose the war. Okay?
No, they were still pretty handily. This was like them at their peak of killing WWE, were they not?
July of 1998. Stone Cold Steve Austin is in full fucking force.
Yeah, I guess it's a lot closer here. Yeah,
it's starting. Even if they're not losing, it's fucking getting neck and neck. They need to do something big. They need to push the envelope and say, hey, watch Nitro. Anything can happen on Nitro. And you had to watch that Nitro, because one of two things is going to happen. Hulk Hogan is going to lose that title, or we're going to see Goldberg lose for the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking huge.
I actually thought we were going to get a DQ finish in that match when it first happened.
I remember watching, I said, there's no way. I just did not believe that Hogan was going to lay down on a Nitro to Goldberg. But I'm like, but they can't take the streak away on a Nitro. But again, they made Nitro, they didn't make Nitro. They were trying to make Nitro feel like must-see television. It was fuck pay-per-view. Like anything that could happen on a pay-per-view could happen on Nitro. And that's what they did that night. And it had a pay-per-view feel. This could have happened at Starrcade. You know what I mean? That match at the end of that Nitro, you felt like, and I'm going to say the same thing about my number one when we get there. It felt like we just watched Starrcade or one of those big pay-per-views.
I would have saved this match for pay-per-view. I think they could have destroyed records with this match. But I mean, what a moment we had. This is another tough one, right? Like,
how do you feel about the moments about the battle of the number twos here?
It's a hard one to judge. I think that the angle of Mariah May beating up Toni Storm is way better. But this is an iconic moment in wrestling. I think
this is a bigger moment. Yeah, I think this is a more important moment too.
It's a tough one. This angle made Mariah May into a huge star. But I mean, Goldberg. I mean, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Okay, who wants to go first?
You go first on this one, because I don't know if you're going to think that mine's a cheat code or not.
Okay. I don't know if you're going to agree with my number one. I think you're going to tell me, oh, the Scott Hall or Goldberg should have been.
I thought Goldberg was going to be your number one, so I don't even know where you're going with this.
But I think I remember watching this as a fan. I remember sitting there going, holy shit, it happened.
Mike's going with his heart here. I might have a shot. I might have a shot here.
100% I am, and I stick by it. We're going to August 4th, 1997. And after a year of tyranny, a year of the NWO destroying and wrecking everything in their path, Lex Luger brought that title home in one of the greatest moments in Nitro history.
I think this was a great moment, but I do not agree with it being your number one.
I'm gonna stand by that. I 100% stand by that. Luger making Hogan tap out, the faces coming out and celebrating. It was a massive moment. And
It's a very forgotten
now
moment though.
it is a forgotten moment, but
Like there,
so is 7 moments on your list. So
I don't think 7 moments have been forgotten on my list, but I think that if you compare
Luger,
this to the Goldberg title change, so I don't think there's a comparison here, Mike.
but I think this is a bigger moment because it's the first time somebody took that title from Hogan since the NWO formed
Yeah, for 6 days.
for 6 days, and
But
that's
but nobody remembers
I.
it though.
But I'm not. I'm going on the moment, not on the run.
But nobody remembers it. Like you remember
I remember
Goldberg.
it. I remember it.
You remember Goldberg.
I remember him up in that torture rack. I remember,
I was shocked. Luger was hot at this time because he would
Luger
do all
was
those big things like at World War III or Uncensored where he'd clear the ring and then always just come up short.
Mhm.
I would put this moment on your list for sure, but I do not think that this is the number one moment in Nitro history. I cannot I won't I don't agree with it.
Well, then that's okay because it's my list.
My number one moment, it's I mean you can pick any moment from it, but I'm going with the Brody Lee tribute show. I think it's the greatest wrestling show, one of the greatest wrestling shows ever put on from start to finish. You want to talk about Eric Rowan returning to honor his friend, or you want to talk about the closing segment with Cody and Tony and the kids and his wife in the ring. I won't, I can't just pick a moment from it. I think that from start to finish, AEW honoring the memory of Brody Lee the way that they did on this show was absolutely beautiful.
I do think it's a cheap thing, but I'm going to allow it.
Well, then I'll do the closing.
No, I'm going to allow it.
I'll do the closing segment then of the video package that they played with that song that they bought with them giving Brody's kid the TNT title, with Tony in the ring, with Cody in the ring, with the wife and the kids in the ring. We'll go with that moment from that show then.
Great moment. Looking back at what your list was, I don't think that I would have chose this as your number one.
I don't think there's any comparison to it. This is widely regarded as one of the greatest wrestling shows of all time. Many wrestlers love this show. The fans, it's a perfect tribute show for a great guy.
Yeah. All right.
So we both don't agree with their number ones. I need to know though, you've missed a couple big moments that I just cannot understand how they're not on your list.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one I want to go with, and I don't care how ridiculous it sounds, but I thought for sure your number 7 was going to be Chris Jericho's promo with the list of wrestling holds.
Oh, it was 100% in my honorable mentions, and
it has to be on your list.
Yeah,
that's more talked about than Lex Luger's title win. That promo.
It was in rotation, but it's not like a fucking do or die moment.
It's a more memorable. It's one of the most memorable moments in Nitro history. I had to research it though. I had to research it though because I thought it might have been on Thunder. I didn't know for sure, so I had to look into it.
It's a great moment.
This promo has stood the test of time. We're still talking about it all these years later.
If I'm not mistaken, we actually just hit the anniversary of that.
We did as we recorded this. It was like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And also there are 2 huge DDP moments that I don't know how to not make your list.
Okay.
The first one with when he pretended to join the NWO and hit the diamond cutter on Hall and Nash.
Was that on Nitro?
Yeah, in the Silver Dome. And it's the moment that like made DDP into like one of the top faces. It was
that was an oversight. I thought that was on a different show.
It was actually one of the first times that anybody had ever got a one up on the NWO.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is when he dressed up as La Parka.
Yeah, I thought about that one, but
that was incredible. He tricked everybody and dummy Macho Man. The crowd went fucking crazy.
I definitely thought about it.
I put both of those. I put all 3 of those moments over the Sting Rafter drop 100%.
Okay.
What was hard for you to leave off?
I have no honorable mentions for you because I don't watch that fucking shit show.
I got a bunch of honorable mentions.
What was hard for me? I kind of listed the stuff that was hard for me to lift off. Let's see if let me check my little scratch list here. Was there anything else? I considered putting Medusa dropping the title in the garbage.
Yeah, that's another WWE iconic moment though, not a Nitro one.
I considered putting on the reformation of the Four Horsemen.
Oh, that's the other one. Sorry, how did that not make your list? That could be a number one moment for sure. That promo, that was the other one I had written down that I missed my note on. That moment's incredible. Flair in Greensboro.
Yeah, I considered it.
How did that not make your list? What was missing from that moment?
No, I just thought the other seven were bigger moments. That's all.
That promo. Fire me. I'm already fired. Fire me. Oh my God, Ric Flair. I forgot to
I
give you
think I
shit
had
about
such.
that.
I'm not. Again, this is a heart thing. I have a bad taste in my mouth with Ric Flair these days.
Yeah, but that moment, the Arn Anderson promo leading
Yeah.
up to that moment, and Dave Pencer talks about that on our show. Arn practiced that promo in the car on
Listen,
Pencer.
we can talk all day how you feel about the Sting Raptor spot and maybe even the Luger debut, but I stand by the other five very
List,
strongly.
list your five again, the five down.
Outsiders destroy WCW.
Yeah,
Bret outsmarts Goldberg.
yeah.
Uh, Scott's debut. Goldberg wins title. Lex wins title.
Whose debut? Sorry, Scott's. What was the
Scott,
number? Oh, Scott Hall's debut.
Scott Hall's debut.
Yeah, that's tough to whittle down. I would probably change your 7 and 6. I would probably have the Flair promo in my 3 spot. I would probably have Goldberg in my 1 spot. I would probably have Scott in my 4 spot. I would put one of the two DDP moments on my list for you.
Yeah,
Um, for me, I had for honorable mentions Sting's debut. It just
sure.
was kind of it was a cool moment, but
Mm.
he just walked out and said hi to people and left. So
Yeah,
I was like, all right, cool.
yeah.
For
I think his debut in WWE was much bigger.
100% it was.
Yeah.
For me, and this one was from the heart, but I didn't put it on. But the entrances for the 10-man tag match that they did with the Dark Order against the Elite, that
you
entrance for the Dark
you
Order, I sent that to you to
you
watch.
sent me that the other day, and but the pretext to it's like this is so good, blah blah blah, made me think that it was new. And I'm like, I'm getting deja vu. I feel like I've seen this before.
That
I'm like,
moment,
what? I'm like, is the Dark Order a fucking thing still? Jesus Christ!
they are this nobody knows about it,
And
but
and then once I saw the fucking Looney Tunes jersey, I'm like, wait, this is not fucking new.
but that entrance specifically of the Dark Order with that video package talking about the traits of a cowboy, I thought that was so good.
Yeah, that was really good.
A moment that I think it's one of the coolest visual moments, and again, you look at the differences between the WWE and AEW here. Do you remember when one of the first Dynamites when Sammy Guevara did the springboard and got super kicked into next year by Matt Jackson?
Yes, yes.
If that happened in the WWE, it would be remembered like Sheldon Benjamin and Shawn Michaels because it looked better than that
I mean,
spot.
if we're doing if we threw Raw into this, I
Oh, it
think
would be a landslide.
I think the Sean Shelton spot would be up there. So you're not wrong.
The MJF and Chris Jericho singing together, we mentioned. Another forgotten spot is when, very similar to his feud with Jericho, when MJF was feuding with Cody and made Cody do all these challenges to fight him.
Yeah.
The 10 lashes with the belt of Cody Rhodes.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty vicious. Hangman had a big return on Dynamite to win some Sonic the Hedgehog ring thing. That was really cool. He had a big pop.
Yeah.
Brody Lee squashing Cody Rhodes for the TNT title was a big shock, but I didn't want to put matches on. The visual of Britt Baker's bloody face.
But by the way, I would have accepted that though.
Yeah, okay.
Because to me, that you're not talking about the match. That is a moment in itself of being squashed.
I would put that.
You're talking about the squash, not the the technical issues and the this match was so good. We couldn't do that, but that's no different than me putting on Goldberg wins the title.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't know for sure because the whole match, the segment after was really good where they destroyed Cody.
Mm-hmm.
Britt Baker's bloody face in her hardcore match with Thunder Rosa.
I think that's an overrated moment, but sure.
Super cool. The Elite beating up Tony Khan should be a way bigger moment. That should be on my list, but this didn't pan out very well.
Yeah.
And the debut of Jeff Hardy, because I just think it's so funny. It's so funny when he dances.
It's so bad.
I know, but it's so memorable. It's so hilarious. Like Matt's
His
getting beat up.
brother is getting the shit
and he
beaten
just
out of him. He just
starts
stops to
dancing.
dance.
It's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Tough list. Tough list for sure. I think that a couple of your moments, like I think the bigger Nitro moments, like the Goldberg and I think like those moments are bigger than a lot of the AEW moments for sure. But I think that the way that we have our lists, I think it's pretty close, man. I don't think you got a landslide win here.
I'm not going to call it a landslide, but I am going to say that the only people that can say who won this are our listeners. I don't think you and I are able to call a winner down the line here.
Well, no, because we're both biased.
This is why I wanted Adam. I really wanted Adam here to be the mediator.
I'm going to give myself the edge because I feel like you left off humongous moments, and I don't like the placement of some of your stuff on the list.
There's more to leave off on my list than there is fucking stuff to put on your list.
You can thank WWE. I didn't see any honorable mentions for you there, just to put it out there. I didn't see any honorable mentions coming your way.
I gave you 4 or 5.
I gave you many more. I'm just saying, I think it's a lot closer than you thought it was going to be coming into this. I think the biggest problem with AEW is just taking these great moments and making them into iconic moments. And that's what they need to work on. You know, even a moment, like even if you look at their pay-per-view moments. Like
based on this list, you know what you need to work on? Your credibility.
Oh yeah, easy there, Lex Luger as your number one moment.
I'm very proud to stand by that.
I guarantee you, if you ask 100 wrestling fans what the bigger moment in Nitro history is, 85 of them will say Goldberg.
And then if they watch one after the other, they'll change their mind.
I don't know about that. That moment when he's got Hogan up and the toilet paper comes into the ring and the Georgia Dome is rocking. Like Luger's moment was cool. I don't know if it would make my list though. Now that I've thought about the stuff that you left off your list, that Horseman promo especially is. I forgot about it and to give you shit about it as well. I had it written down, but I'm shocked that that's one of my favorite promos ever. So yeah, I win.
That's it for go fuck. In the immortal words of Christian, go fuck yourself.
See? You used an AEW quote to take me down.
I think that was a Cody quote.
You guys all know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here every week.
I don't know why you're here every week.
It's because I'm the one who knows how to edit.
Well, speaking of week by week, next week we will be back. Not sure what we're doing, but we're gonna have something fun. Always.
We'll either have a list or an interview. We got a couple guys we've been talking to that we're just trying to lock some dates down in. So we'll see. We're gonna call on the fly next week.
I do have a talking point for next week.
Oh yeah, are we gonna remember it?
If we don't, I have it all written down because if we decided not to do the battle royal, I had it ready to go. So it's all written down.
What is it? I want to know now.
I'll give you a tease. I want to talk about legacies.
All right.
I want to talk about what I have a list of wrestlers, and I want to know what their legacy will be in 30, 40 years from now.
How many wrestlers are on your list?
Right now, I only have about 6 or 7 written down.
I want to do it now.
Might get better. Hey, you want to do it now? Well,
yeah, because we're gonna forget to do this. We always do.
All right.
Let's do it really quick, and then we'll take it home.
Okay. Well, I lied. I only have 5 written down.
Bonus segment. Count it out after dark.
Oh God, no. Okay, so you can throw some names in there too and decide. But here's what I really want to know. For example, I have one specifically written to be the very last one we talk about.
All right, give me an example of what you're looking for here. You're going to mention a name here's if you want an example that's not on the list, we'll just throw a name out there. Let's say I was to say fucking Christopher Daniels, okay? And then say, what's Christopher Daniels' legacy going to be in 50 years? What are we going to remember him for? Is it going to be Ring of Honor? Is it going to be TNA? Is it going to be AEW? Is it going to be his backstage stuff? What will he be remembered for at the end of the day? All right,
That's my big question.
all right, let's do it. I'll do rapid fire with you.
So I'm going to start with a big. I have two big names, two things I'm really wanting to know what you think. I'm going to start with a big one and end with a big one.
That's what she said.
I'm going to start with the American Dragon, Brian Danielson. In 50 years from now, 30 years from now, what are we going to remember Daniel for? Are we going to remember him for his epic indie runs? Are we going to remember him for his tremendous rise to the top in WWE? Or remember him for how he basically ended his career in some of his best matches ever in AEW?
I think
what is the legacy of Brian Danielson?
I think we'll remember for three different things. I think we'll remember for the yes chant and WrestleMania 30 specifically, I think is a big one. I think that we're going to remember him as one of the greatest professional wrestlers from an in-ring standpoint of all time.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to remember him as the greatest underdog story of all time, of a guy that never should have been a superstar. If you just look at him, if you listen to his views on life, because he's a very, different guy. He doesn't fit that stereotypical you're going to be as big as you are star. I think he's the greatest. I think he's like a real life Rocky Balboa. He's the greatest, the greatest story that never should have been.
I like that a lot. That makes a lot of sense, and I like that. So I don't think AEW comes into the conversation when we're talking more than 30 years.
I think it's just like the way he wants. I don't think that we're going to remember AEW specifically, but it's just the great final chapter of an already great career.
AJ Styles, is he going to be remembered for his WWE run at all, or are we just going to remember him as probably the greatest star in TNA history?
I think that we remember him as the greatest star in TNA history for sure. I think that we remember him as just a fantastic in-ring performer that always delivered.
Yeah. Cody Rhodes, is his legacy going to be what he did in those years between WWE and coming home? Or will his story being finished going to be will that be what we remember him for in 30 years?
I think it's kind of one and the same. I think I don't think that he'll ever have a bigger moment than finishing the story at WrestleMania 41. I think that he's going to be remembered.
But is creating AEW and wrestling in ROH and doing all that stuff, is that part of his legacy? Is that going to be a final part of his legacy? Are we going to remember that?
It's hard to tell with Cody because we're in the middle of his prime of his career right now. So that's going to really... Cody could go down as one of the most important people in the history of professional wrestling if he stays on this track. But it's too soon to give a legacy on Cody.
We're gonna sway a bit here on how we're doing this, because this gentleman, I don't want to talk about his WWE run versus his AEW run, because there's no point in debating that. We know the WWE run is going to be talked about. But when we talk about Edge, is his legacy going to be for being one of the greatest tag teams of all time? Or is the R-rated superstar going to be his legacy?
I think we remember him as one of the greatest heels of all time. I think he's in that conversation. I like that. I think we remember him as one of the greatest SmackDown world champions of all time.
Yeah.
I think that I associate Edge with SmackDown. I think he's the guy that made SmackDown.
Was SmackDown for a long time. Yeah.
But I just think, I think we remember Edge as a top 10 WWE superstar of all time.
All right, two more. Chris Jericho. He's been everywhere. He's done everything. At the end of the day, we're talking in 30 years from now, and somebody brings up Chris Jericho. What do we remember Chris Jericho for?
I think that people will study Chris Jericho for years for the way that he constantly reinvents himself.
Yes, I think that alone is his legacy, right?
And I also think that, and nobody talks about this enough, but the amount of work that he's done to try to get the next generation of superstars over, I hope is something that we remember. From an in-ring standpoint, I think his feud with Shawn Michaels is probably his highlight. So I think that is something that will be remembered fondly. But sure. I think the constant reinvention of Chris Jericho is what we remember him by.
The last one I want to talk about is a man who's been everywhere. He was the king of the Indies. He was the king of the WWE, and he could have been the king of AEW. But I want to know, at the end of the day, what is the true standing point? What are we going to remember CM Punk for in 30 years? Is it going to be his tremendous wrestling career, or is that going to be overshadowed by his backstage drama?
I think we remember CM Punk as the guy that changed the way that people look at professional wrestling.
Okay, how so? Give me some context on that.
CM Punk,
Because I could say the same thing about Cody Rhodes, I think.
I think Cody Rhodes as well. I just think it's
Yeah,
too soon to tell with Cody because he's in the middle. Cody, like I said, with the creation of AEW and depending on where he takes the WWE in the future, Cody could be one of the most important people in the history of the business.
agreed.
CM Punk he's a throwback, but without CM Punk, there wouldn't be the blueprint for Cody Rhodes.
Mhm.
Without CM Punk, we wouldn't see AJ Styles get a chance to shine in the WWE.
But are people, and I mean casual fans, smarks, everybody, is that going to be remembered at the end of the day? Or is it just going to be like, oh yeah, that's the guy that fucking threw a
He'll,
punch at Jack Perry?
I don't think anybody will remember that.
Yeah.
I think that we remember CM Punk as one of the greatest promos of all time. And
Yes.
I think that we remember CM Punk as one of the most polarizing and like the guy that can bring the most emotion out of people of
Yeah.
all time. I think he's one of the most polarizing people, and again, I think he's another incredibly important person when you look at the history of professional wrestling and the changes that he brought together. That pipe bomb
Mm.
promo, I know it's not your favorite thing on the planet,
No,
but
but it was.
when you
I understand its importance though.
when you take a look back at that moment and everything that he said and the feelings that were coming out and how he viewed himself and how he advocated for himself, I'm better than these people, but I'm not your chosen one, and I'm the voice of the voiceless. Like there was a lot of truth to a lot of that stuff. And without Punk advocating for people like himself, I don't think that we get, the guys from Ring of Honor, like the Seth Rollins and like all those people. I don't think they get to shine in the WWE without Punk breaking down those barriers for them.
I like that a lot, and I do agree with you. Punk was supposed to be my last one. I'm going to throw one more bonus one in here because I just thought of it. Because you said that it's too early to tell on Cody, it could be too early to tell on this person. But I want to know your opinion regardless when it comes to his wrestling career versus his post wrestling career. In 30 years from now, where do you think Triple H is going to stand in his legacy?
I think that
Do you think his corporate career, his post wrestling career is going to eventually overshadow his wrestling career?
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I do too.
If he stays on this trend that he's on now, I don't think it's a question. I think Triple H is a great talent. I think that he is looked back on a little overrated as far as his importance from
We
an
will
in-ring
definitely agree to
standpoint.
disagree on
And
that.
when I say that though, I don't take away from Triple H because I think that he's incredible. But I think when you think about the greatest pro wrestlers of all time, I think that his name gets ranked higher and over some people that I don't think it should be. I think that
Yeah,
there's people that are going to leave from an in-ring standpoint, that will leave a bigger impact or that have left a bigger impact than Triple H. But as an overall package, from the behind the scenes aspect, I mean, even right now, I think that his behind the scenes work has surpassed his in-ring work. Like NXT that's Triple H.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And if you look at NXT from now until when it first started, NXT was a better product than the WWE at the time.
I agree.
It was way better in every aspect. I think that taking over the reins from Vince McMahon is a task that nobody would ever want to take on, and Triple H has done it flawlessly and
Right,
made the product better immediately.
I agree.
I do think that his backstage stuff has already far surpassed his in-ring stuff.
And in 30 years from now, I hope you're talking about Canada with Mike and Tyler is one of the greatest podcasts you ever listened to.
Wow.
I hope that's our legacy.
It was a podcast. I think
And in 30 years from now, I hope you remember going back. I hope you remember going back and hitting that subscribe button and those like buttons and any button that you're allowed to hit, unless it has a thumbs down. Don't hit those ones. Subscribe, send, share, do all those things for us. We're this close to just breaking the glass ceiling and becoming the biggest podcast we could possibly be. So
yeah, I mean,
everything you can do to help us by sharing, getting the word out, telling people. Our numbers have been great lately. Thanks to guys like Kurt Angle and you listeners for really, it seems you really enjoyed last week's show. Thank you so much. We just need a little bit more by just getting the word out. Tell people about it. We love you for it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the legacy of Counted Out is I think it's gonna be two guys that have no clue what they were doing.
No clue.
That super overachieved any expectations that you could ever
100%.
dream of.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we started this 20 years ago when our lives were different and we had a grasp on technology and more time in life?
If I did this one before we had kids, yeah.
Well, I don't have kids.
Or before
I'm married. I don't got kids.
I feel like I have 3 kids.
I'm the big kid.
Yeah, what we could have achieved, what we will achieve, what we can still achieve. There's still lots of life here in Counted Out.
And this show in particular is going to be a big part of the legacy of Counted Out because it is the day that Tyler proved that AEW Dynamite was far superior than WCW Monday Nitro.
Listeners, it's all on you now. Go to Discord, go to YouTube, go to Facebook, go to Instagram. If you have me on social media, DM me. If you have my phone number, text me. Tell me what you think of today's show. More than ever, it's important to get your comments on. This is the most I don't push comments. This is the one I push the most. I want everybody
Tony Khan, TonyKhan, our savior, the man who's taken Dynamite higher than Nitro. Tony.
Higher. Yeah, if the snowman knows how to do anything. All right, until next week, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in. We will catch you on Counted Out next Thursday. And until then, of course, as always, you have been Counted Out.
Cheers.